It's been over 2 weeks since my last trade has been closed, and this week we lose $1,823.99. Save me that extra cent. Makes it look better. Let's get into the recap. This is a trade on Bitcoin. I've been looking around, right? And the past couple of weeks, well, I closed out of a Walmart trade. I think I had a Bitcoin trade in there as well a few weeks back. And in the meantime, I have taken 2 trades on 2 different stocks, but they're swing trades. So I'm sitting in them. They're not near the stop. They're not near the target really yet. So we're just kind of in that limbo period. And, I don't really, it's whatever. It's not like I haven't been doing anything. I've just been, this is like the plan, right? Was to trade a lot less this year because the data told me to do so. And so far it's been okay. I mean, I think it's actually been pretty good. We've just had the increase in size about a month and a half ago. So since that period, I think I'm around break even, somewhere in that ballpark. Maybe just a little bit red, I don't know, but like nothing that's like dramatically crazy. So yeah, that's really it. Those 2 trades that we have on, they look okay for right now, but not gonna start, banking on them by any means because anything can happen. So this is on Bitcoin. If I go to my trade log, you'll see that we had a Bitcoin trade here or a Bitcoin trade back on the 8th. That was like the last trade we closed out recently. We pretty much lost the exact amount we made. And you say, oh, well, that's not good risk management, right? Because if you made 17, well, then now you lost 18. What's up with that? Well, the trade back then was on the 1 hour time frame, which historically I don't have a ton of data on. So I'm like, it's tough for me to look at that time frame and go, yes, let's trade the 1 hour time frame huge or not huge, like, with larger size. So I'm not going to trade with larger size. I think I was risking in the ballpark of like 1,200 or something like that to make. I actually can tell you right now. I was risking 12 to almost 1,300 to make what I made. I would have liked to get a bit better than what I got, but I got close to 1.5 R, so it's fine in that situation. But you can go back to that recap video and watch that if you want to. So that was the situation there. In this trade about 10, 11 days later, we risked approximately, I was looking to make 1.85 R, which is cool. So looking to make like almost 2x on the winner than what the loser was going to be. So you can see that this risk being 1823, had this worked out, we would have been looking to make well over $3,000, which would have been nice. It just didn't work out, obviously. So we lost what we planned to lose, which is good. We didn't lose more. But I wrote this in right here, and it was interesting. I wrote, this was kind of weird because I had a legitimate vision that this was exactly going to happen. But setup and everything was valid, so no reason per the strategy to avoid it. That's kind of what I'm going to get into. So I was watching this yesterday, and if you go to let's go to a 1 hour time frame so you can see it. I originally got my alert that Bitcoin was breaking out right here, and that happened to be on Sunday like noon or Sunday morning, I believe. It was like Sunday like 11 a.m., something like that. And I was like, okay, I'll watch it. If we start to push, over 106, I'll be much more like, 106.50, I'll be more interested. Or 106.5, I guess, 106,500. It just didn't happen. It kind of fell right back off. So within the next hour or two, I was like, okay, good. I didn't take the trade. I was, skeptical. Why? Because, okay, when you get a breakout on Bitcoin on Sunday afternoon, we have futures opening up Sunday night. So it's like, usually there's a reaction to that. I don't like to just jump the gun unless there's a ton of volume and a ton of momentum, which we didn't really seemingly have a ton of. If I pull volume up, I mean, like it's a weekend, you know what I mean? Like it was perking, right? But it's a weekend. So it's like, you don't really, I don't know. It was good, I guess, but compared to the past weeks, maybe not terrible, I should say. Not terrible, looking back at it now. All relative, right? So like, okay, cool. But then it kind of pulls back, and then after futures open, this is now at like 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, we're up here. And I go, oh, okay. So I get in on Bitcoin up around that level, 106.4, something in that ballpark. I can tell you exactly what I got in at. I got filled at 106.5, exactly, pretty much. So 106,500, which is exactly kind of what I was looking for. And, my thought was, okay, good. We had the little breakout. We pulled back. And we came right back. Now it's like kind of your second push confirmation. We're good to go. And at the time, if you go to the daily time frame, At the time, well, this big red candle wasn't there. We hadn't formed yet because we had been prior to the next day, which I think starts at like 8, 9 o'clock, something like that. On the every night is what sets a new day on this chart for Bitcoin. But at the time, I'm like, oh, we're closing this candle like above the breakout. That's good. Now, can you really judge volume? It's tough because it's a Sunday, so it's tough to say that was high volume. It really wasn't. It wasn't high volume in the grand scheme, but compared to past Sundays, this was the most volume we've seen on a Sunday or a weekend in general for like over a month. So I'm like, okay, well, that's a good sign. So there was absolutely no reason to not take this trade other than that weird thing in the back of my head. I was like, I can see this exact situation happening, but at the same time, it goes to show like, well, maybe, you can doubt yourself or you can have a vision. At the same time, I look back at the chart, go, there's no reason why you shouldn't have taken the trade. If I didn't take the trade because I thought I had this vision in my head, unless I become like a mind reader, which I'm not, or, some crazy market prophet that can just see the future, which I'm not, then you kind of fall back to the same thing. Well, the strategy says take the trade. Simple as that. Bigger time. It's on the good time frame, decent volume. Everything's set okay. It's good. You got the setup that you want exactly, and then you're nearing a all-time high, which is like when I have a setup like this on just individual stocks, it's usually a really good sign. On Bitcoin, it can be, I will say, on Bitcoin can be a little jumpy, can be a little bit bumpy. So, that is something that I have noticed. It's when you get up to these highs, we can get some reactions at these highs, and it's a bit jumpy. So, which is fine and fair, and that's totally fair. Maybe that just, as time goes on and as, years go on, I have this data over time and I see this, I notice this, and I go, yeah, these situations I don't trade Bitcoin. I only trade Bitcoin when X, Y, Z are happening, and not when, A, B, C are happening. That's just that just comes with time and refine the strategy to figure out when you have better probabilities for when you take the trades. That's really all it is. So, you look at this trade and you look at this chart and you go, okay, well, technically speaking, we came back, but we now have this wick, which we'll see what happens by the end of the day or this week. We got this wick. We might just kind of stuff right back into this level. Buyers come back in and then go for the second round. I wouldn't be opposed to taking the trade again if we were to re-break that. It wouldn't be a bad idea, I don't think. But at the same time, you could make the argument, well, maybe your stop was a little bit too tight, but I put the stop underneath the breaking candle low or just shy of breaking candle low, which is right in here. So, this is one of those situations where the breakout still might actually happen. And in all, in the bigger picture, the overall general consolidation was never broken down. We never really had a break of the consolidation down here and then go. That would be kind of your I don't know, liquidity sweep. I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. I'm not too technical when it comes to that stuff. I don't get into all the fucking ICT bullshit. Not that it's bullshit, but you can make it as complicated or as simple as you want it to be, So at the same time, right, you kind of had this breakout here and you go, well, why would you try to break out? You're a fucking dumbass, liquidity, blah, blah, blah. Well, the reason why is because the probability of this panning out to be a very nice momentum trade in an uptrend in a strong market near highs is actually pretty good if it breaks. So I don't necessarily know, or I don't necessarily care if this time breaks, or if in 6 weeks we get a setup somewhere else, or I see the setup, in a year. I don't really care because I'll keep playing it. And if I'm right around half the time and I stop myself out here and I take my profits on a big extension, I'm going to make more money. So that's all that really matters to me. I don't necessarily care about this time, next time. It's not about, to me, it's not about predicting what percentage or when the market's going to make this move and with what accuracy percentage. I don't give a shit. I have a setup that I track, and when the setup breaks or sets up and entries present, you take the trade, and then if you're right half the time, but you take the trade and you make more on winners than you lose, you're looking fucking great. So that's the whole idea. On the Bitcoin trade. And I guess second on why I took this on a little bit larger size was because it was on the daily time frame. The Bitcoin trade that I took 2 weeks ago was on the 1 hour time frame. The higher the time frame, I'm willing to take on more size. Because it just simply usually takes longer for the trade to play out. This took a couple of hours. That last trade took literally 20 minutes. Now, they both move pretty fast. In reality, I'll take trades on the daily time frame that will take a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of days at best, a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And if I take trades on the weekly time frame, it's going to take a couple of weeks, potentially to a couple of months. And I have that couple of months window as my max. I don't want to trade more than that or longer than that, because then you got to hold through earnings. I don't want to hold through earnings. So, but yes, the size will go up because again, when you trade on bigger time frames, you're going to just net take less trades throughout the year. And so you can afford to trade larger, because if your stats stay relatively the same, and my stats are actually better on the bigger time frames. So in theory, I could have traded that gives me the reason to trade larger size on the bigger time frames. But if your stats stay relatively the same on larger time frames, you're trading less. Well, then in order to like make it more worth your time, well, then trading larger is fine, because you're not going to have, like, yes, you might have bigger winners, bigger losers per trade, but if you take 10 trades, that's different than taking, one trade, right? So I'm getting dealership calls. I put my name in, or like my information on like some freaking car dealerships, because I'm looking at it potentially, not sure if I want to buy or lease or whatever, and now you just get blasted. But that's the trade recap. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We'll see what happens on Bitcoin. I wouldn't be opposed to taking it again. So if there's a recap soon because Bitcoin pulls one of these, and it heads back up there, I'll get in. I'll play it again. I think it's setting up for a nice move. Could totally be a fuckery zone, so you got to take that out with a grain of salt. But we'll see. That's the recap. 2 trades open right now that I'm swinging on stocks. We'll see how those go. They're looking okay, but nothing crazy. But we got some time. Actually, one of them earnings is coming up in like a week and a half. So I got about a week left on that one until I got to close it. Maybe like a week. Yeah, it's about a week and a half. And then the other one, earnings already happened, so we don't have to worry about earnings on that for like months. So we can just chill. That said, thanks so much for watching. I'll leave a link to TradeZella where I do all the tracking down below. It helps a lot. It helps immensely. And I will see you guys in the next recap. Peace.